You're leading.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I don't know if you can hear me too well because as you can tell, there are more than one of us tonight. Big surprise for everybody, but if you don't know who I am, I'm Emmett from Team Anvil, and this is Mrs. Anvil. Welcome to the podcast, the Hammered Out Podcast.
Hello, everyone.
So, we're actually out here. It's Valentine's Day. You know, we don't really celebrate Valentine's Day because it's where a bunch of people were massacred. But for those of you that turned it into something super romantic and whatnot, happy Valentine's Day to those of you that celebrate it. We do not, but anymore. We used to.
Yeah, we used to.
But anyways.
Not so much anymore.
Yeah, not because we're not romantic either, because we are.
You should love your spouse every day.
Every
day.
You
should love your peoples every day. No.
Every day. Every day.
Not
single
just on one holiday.
day.
So.
Every day.
Anywho.
So today's topic, see, she's already distracting me. All right. This is what I live with. She's like, what's wrong with your brain? Say something. I'll be like, you're so pretty. Yeah. Anyways, all right. So today we're going to talk about women who shoot. And well, this is a woman that shoots.
Not as much as I probably should, but having a spouse, one who was previous military, and having a spouse who has a business doing this, yes, you make me get out there a lot of times and do it, but I'm coming around to doing it more so without being prompted by you, I guess.
Yeah, you do a pretty good job.
Yeah, I do now.
It can be intimidating, I think, for like most people. Like we've even heard it from guys, forget about women, but like guys that have shown up that maybe like aren't on the same level as like some other shooters that are out there. They'll just be like, that's just intimidating.
Yeah.
So for women, I think getting women out there, it's even a little bit more difficult, especially in a male dominated area, if there isn't like a female club out there doing stuff.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think that when I first started shooting, or when you first started taking me out, it was intimidating because I thought I was being judged because most people were veterans, police officers, former police officers. Everybody just seemed very seasoned at shooting. And as a female at the time, that was very basic. Like I knew basics, but I wasn't like super good at, like, it's not what I did for my job, for my life, shooting guns. So for me, it was very intimidating. And most of the time, my thought process, which is probably most women's process, is, you know, am I being judged by these guys, or am I going to be made fun of, or whatever? But it's quite the opposite. I've learned is most people that you're around are very supportive and very I can't find the word I'm looking for. Helpful. That's what it's like. Helpful. They're very helpful and very supportive to guide you in any way they can.
So a little bit of context for the audience. I had a 19-year career. We've been together since high school. I'm just talking to her. I'm just looking at her. Well, they already know, right? Like I'm just, enjoying the view. I have, my wife with me while I'm doing this for once. So we've been together for like ever since high school. We did the Army together, whole career.
Yeah.
How many? I can count on one hand how many times we went to the range together during my whole career. It was always me linking up with dudes and off time to go to the range and like drill down on our skills or at work or whatnot.
Yeah, because we were stationed at Fort Campbell at the time. And
which time? I mean, that was one of
well, many. I mean, because you were constantly because you were rapid deployment all the time, he kind of got concerned where he was just like, well, if I'm not there, I would like her to be able to defend herself.
Do you remember
which
that first
actually
time?
It was more so after we had our kids.
Yeah.
When it was just me, he wasn't too concerned. I won't.
I was
I
gonna
won't
say
you weren't
before I went to
concerned.
Iraq, we went and got that Glock 23, that 40 caliber one at Fort Polk, and then we went out to the range, and like we didn't even know what we were doing with that handgun. Like we're gonna fire it. Hey, good to see you, Angry Sarge, Aegis. What's going on, everybody? Vanessa Kitty, hey, what's up?
The
Drunken Jiu-Jitsu. The chat just moved. All right, sweet. So we caught up to everybody. All right.
Aegis gun gear.
Yeah, Aegis. Good cleaning products. Yeah. Can't wait. Super excited. But yeah, so like the amount of instruction you've gotten from me came later in life, essentially, like once that whole career was over with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first time the first time I took a concealed carry course was Kentucky. It was an older male who taught our class.
That old Pizza Hut, yeah.
And
he focused on
was
cleaning.
intimidating, but I mean, what I was not okay with back then was he was very much like, call on all the women in the class. And it's like, we're clueless. So we're just like, I don't know the answer. I don't know. I don't know what you're asking me. I don't know what you want me to show you.
She didn't pay attention in class.
Yeah, I did. But I mean, also he was the one that initially, the first time, he's the one that taught me how to hold a gun. And unfortunately, he taught me how to what we call teacupping. So holding it with your hand underneath instead of gripping, it's like,
we all know that's wrong.
And
we didn't know though.
Well, the first couple of times that we went shooting, I was like, this has a lot of kick. Because at that time I had my Springfield Armory.
Yeah, that XD.
And I was like, this has so much kick. I was like, why do I don't feel like I can control this at all.
It was hard. It's the wrist breaker.
So until later on, when we were in Florida, I think we went shooting, and people were like, why are you holding your gun like that? And we were just like, I was just like, it's how I was taught. Apparently I was taught wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, so we didn't do a lot of range shooting together. Now, rifle, different story. But anyways, we retire out, come back home, and start shooting, and instantly, right? Like it's like the wheel starts turning and you realize, wait a minute, like we have had concealed handgun licenses that have allowed us to carry for years. We've carried for years.
Right.
And arrogantly, we've been kind of like, oh, we're good to go. Like we went through a course, like I have my experience, none of which is with a pistol, but all of it with rifle. And
which that was like something I didn't know. Like all the years you were in the military, I was like, oh, he has to know, he must know how to fire or how to use a handgun, only to find out that was like your secondary. Because rifle was, your first. So when he first started shooting, he's like, I don't know this. I was like,
well, I wasn't.
You pulling my leg because I feel like this is a joke. And you're like, no, seriously. You're like, I'm familiar with a handgun, but you're like, that's my second. When I was in the Army, that was my secondary. That wasn't my primary.
So to be fair, I ended up kind of like linking in with some like competitive shooters, and competition shooters are like competitive for a reason. Like they know everything about a pistol, and they know how to like work it. And 629, daggone.
I wish I knew what that was. I'm still not in the place that I'm very familiar with types of firearms.
Look, I don't know
I'm still learning the handgun world. So
she's like the dude in Tropic Thunder. I don't know this. I don't know the name of it. I just know the sound it makes when it.
Stop. No. I'm still learning like the different types of firearms. I mean, there's a lot out there. I mean, when
Tons
we
of guns.
even just go to the indoor ranges that actually sell firearms, and I'm walking around looking at the cases, I'm like so overwhelmed because I'm just like, I don't like half of this stuff I don't know.
I'm just taking the hat off. Yeah.
Half of this stuff I don't know, but I'm like, some of it I do know. So yeah.
Well, let's move forward. So
yeah, let's not get stuck.
So we got into a position where I'm starting to learn more about sidearms, about pistols, and definitely growing that experience.
Mhm.
And my past life is over. I don't have to be as proficient with a rifle as I used to have to be. And pistol became the focus.
Yeah.
And daggone it, like anything else, when you suck at it and somebody else around you is better at it, it just drives you to want to be better, especially when you think about every one of those bullets. If we ever have to shoot them, when they leave our gun, like we don't get to bring them back.
Yeah.
Right. They're gone forever.
Right.
And whatever they go into, that's a forever issue. Right. So like there's a massive amount of responsibility, and we really started thinking about that. It's like, man, we need to train more, like immediately. So what do you think? So the focus of this is women, women getting out there and shooting. Everybody knows my story. So why don't we just like kind of scale it back a little bit and talk about like, how did you get over, like what motivated you to get out and actually start shooting?
You already know the answer to that. If I'm being sincere, I was really opposed in the beginning to handguns and concealed carrying and the whole thought of that, because in my head as a female, I was like, he's the protector, he carries. Yeah. So why do I need to? But then came well, he's not with me all the time, and I'm alone with the kids, and what ifs, started popping up. So then it was kind of like, okay, maybe this is something I do need to do. But the thing I think that stopped me was just the intimidation of it. Like, male dominated ranges, it just made it very intimidating, because it's like, well, I don't want to be the only female there, and I don't want to be the only woman out there shooting when it's like 8 dudes and just me. Because of the intimidation factor, I think that I was very like, I don't want to go shoot, I don't want to go do this. And it was like, I will admit, it was for him, it was pulling teeth to get me to go. Like, we're going today, and I'm just like, oh no. And I try to find every excuse in the book not to go, because I was just like, I don't want to go, I don't want to. But it was like fear and intimidation. It wasn't that I wasn't wanting to learn. It was more of just, there was no sense of comfortability. And even having someone that is really good at shooting and stuff, I just wasn't comfortable. I was like, I'm not comfortable.
To be fair, by this point, like, it's also been kind of like a year post retirement, and my sidearm skills, which were like, if you were going to take a scale, like coming out of the Army, and I was an infantryman, right? So it was my secondary. Going from here, and like, this is the max, right? Like, my skill level coming out of the Army was like here. It was like barely scratching the surface. And then I'd say within a year, I just drove down to it to where I was like up here. So by the time we start trying to get her out, we have her come out for a camera to like just operate the camera one day. And she was just like, look, I'm no way am I ever going to come out here and be able to shoot with you guys. Not even you now, because like you guys are all just running all over the place and gunning and drilling still. And like, I'm not going to be able to do that. It's too much.
Yeah.
So how did you get over that?
Honestly, just by doing, like,
Yeah.
Forcing me to go out and shoot. And after like 2 or 3 times, number one, we went out with like the same group of people. It was not really new people each time. It was kind of the same group. So I got very familiar with the group of people. So then I felt more comfortable to shoot in front of them because I'm like, oh, they've seen me shoot 2, 3, 4, 5 times. I was like, this isn't bad.
So would you say the group of people that
you surround
like
yourself?
you typically, that you surround yourself with, that matters when it comes to attracting new shooters?
Yeah. But the good thing is like once you're comfortable with a group of people that you go shoot with regularly, when new people come into the group,
it's root beer.
You end up being that person that's like I realized that I started being the wife that when other wives would come with the husbands, I'd be like, oh, you've got this. You could do this. I used to be scared, but I'm not scared no more. So it's like I would be like trying to encourage them, like, don't be scared. Don't be scared. You'll be okay. Nobody's making fun of you. Like, to kind of make them feel more comfortable because I have been in their shoes. So it's like, I know what it feels like first time at the range and you're like, oh, everybody's so much better than me. And I don't want to shoot because I'm going to look dumb.
So what would you say like would be like a benefit that you could say like from getting out there, getting over the initial hump and getting out there? Like, what do you feel like you got exposed to immediately that helped?
Right off the back is you learn. Yeah. Right off the back is just basic knowledge. Basic knowledge of your firearm, basic knowledge of the ammunition you're using, proper hand position. Yeah, that's probably like the beginning. Like the beginning learning is, you get more comfortable with the gun in your hand. You get more comfortable with the type of firearm you're using. You get more comfortable with the basic knowledge
and like
in shooting.
So I'm going to say something here too. I'm just going to chime in a little bit. If you're a sponge and you're kind of like a blank canvas, it makes it a lot easier too. So like if you have some bad habits, like already kind of coming into it, then you got to unlearn those and then learn the new ways. And this gets back into the whole crew that you surround yourself with, and why it's so important, because I know that the guys that we shoot with, it doesn't matter who it is really. Like any one of those guys can see something and go like talk to you or somebody else there and be like, hey man, I saw this. You want to talk to me about it? Because I want to help you grow. Right. And it's just a bunch of good eggs all in the same space.
I think that, like he said, a lot of the people that we went out and shot with
and currently still shoot with.
And currently still go shoot with, if I was shooting and I'm like, man, like I'm looking at my target, I'm shooting, and I see that every time I'm like hitting like low left corner or anything like that, it was very much they would jump in and be like, okay, let's slow it down and kind of like go over why this might be happening. Where's your hands? Where's your finger as far as on the trigger? What's your stance position? Are you like lining up your sights? Like, are you doing all the things that you need to do to hit where you want to hit? Or is there things that you're doing that's causing you not to hit where you're supposed to be hitting? Which, as a newbie, it's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot to think about your hand position, your finger trigger, like your breath control. When you're new on the range, or I'll say when you're new on the range, I outdoor shot first. Like the first time I ever went shooting was outside.
What's up, G23? Sorry.
So when I went on an indoor range,
G23.
When I went on an indoor range and there was the rifle, they had the rifle range, and they had
And that's before they redid it.
You can hear a lot of that. Or there's a couple times they would put us in the rifle range with handguns because they didn't have room in the handguns.
Never again.
And I couldn't. like
her anxiety and my
would just
TBI.
like I would like be I'd be holding my weapon and I would just be like, oh my gosh. And he would have to come and stand over my shoulder and kind of calm me down and be like, just think of your breathing. Just try to block that noise out. But real life scenario, if someone is shooting at you or you're in an active shooter environment, bullets, the sound of people shooting, like that could be real life. So he's like, you're going to have to learn how to control your breathing. You're going to have to learn how to overcome those things. So after a while, I kind of didn't mind it because
it's kind of on boss mode inside the gym. Actually,
I didn't mind it because I was like, you know what, real life scenario, like this might be something that happens that I'm gonna have to.
We messed her up though. We took her outside and she's like, "What do I do?"
Oh, when I went outdoor,
when you're outdoors, she's like,
When I went back to outdoors,
so much
I was
space.
Like, this is kind of like you don't have all that going on, so yeah.
Yeah, so
or it's not as bad because you're not in a confined, closed space.
Right. So something that like we started doing because we kind of saw like a very big spike in interest was we started doing meet and shoots. And it kind of sounds like, oh man, everybody's coming out to meet you. And it's like, no, everybody is not coming out to meet the team. But we wanted to do like community gathering events. And it was like, hey, how can we get more women out here, like more families interested in coming out, shooting, meeting more people that are just like them, and then spend a few hours like drilling down on some skills that they're going to be able to leave here. And like, that's going to add immediate value.
Yeah.
And so, so we would have, this is when we started going outdoors primarily to go shoot.
Mm-hmm.
And we would shoot primarily steel so that people could hear the report that you get immediately when that bullet strikes that steel. It's like, ding, it's like immediate feedback. You either know you hit it or you didn't.
True.
So when we're out there and we're kind of like in the infancy of like you coming out and whatnot, like you talked, I want to get us back on it, but like you talked about how you got more knowledge on your particular firearm. So for the fans that are out there and they're all wondering, what does Mrs. Anvil carry for her EDC?
Okay, so I wouldn't even call mine. Well, it is EDC, but I don't ever, I don't ever carry on body because of what I have. I have a Glock 17. It does have a hollow sun optic on it and a light. But I don't carry it on body because of the fact that I am a petite person. So for me, like I have a very short torso. So for me, it would cover like almost my whole torso to carry that on body, especially appendix carry.
I'm so excited for all the comments that are going to come in.
It would. So I carry it in a purse with me when I go places. Which I'm not that comfortable with because I'm like, oh my gosh, it's going to go off. It's going to do something it's not supposed to. Not because of that. That's
in a holster.
That's like newbie fear until you learn about guns and you're like, okay, the possibilities of it doing that is slim to none.
It's going to be a surprise for everybody.
Yeah. So I got to a point where I do carry it in purse, not on body, but I don't practice drawing it from my purse or my holster in my purse. So for that purpose, bad habit, I know I need to start. Or as we've been talking, I need something smaller to carry on body because like I said, a Glock 17 is a hefty gun for someone. I'm only 5'1" for context. I'm only 5'1", small chick.
You shrunk an inch? I thought you were 5'2".
No, I'm 5'1". I'm 5'1".
She just got taller. She sat up.
So I'm small. So it's a big gun.
Well, let's talk
I
about
like
that,
it.
right?
I love shooting it. I don't get me wrong. I love shooting my Glock.
So you have a
But-
Glock 17 that you carry in a holster inside of your purse.
Yes.
How do you practice safe handling of a firearm?
What do you mean? Like,
If you're going to carry it in a purse, right? Like, shouldn't you know how to be able to defeat your purse and get to it?
oh yeah.
Yeah. So how do you do that safely? Have you done that at all? Are you telling?
That's why.
Babe, are you telling me on live tape?
No, I mean I have a timer. I have a timer too. I'm just saying I don't regularly do that, which is bad. And it's so crazy because I watch so many women online that I follow, Instagram, TikTok, that have Glock 17s or Glock 19s and they carry them in purse. And I watch their videos on how they defeat their purse if they, in practice. And it's like, I don't do that, even though I should. So don't take that pointer from me. That is not what to do. This is tips of what not to do. Don't do that.
We can't edit a live video.
Actually, what I would say, honestly, even as a newbie, is to get a handgun that you can carry on body.
So when we went to the gun store, right? Like, let's just talk about that real quick. At this point, I already kind of knew, like, I had been through an unfortunate experience with
Vanessa said shoulder holster. I don't know. I don't know.
Yo.
As cool as it is.
Like, on the way drawing it out, you could whip them in the face with it and then punch them out.
As cool as it is, I mean, I would like that.
That'd be awesome.
I just saw a girl today with
you'd have to wear flannels all the time. Now I would be a fan of that, but
I'm kind of brand dropping. It's a smaller business. But I think it's called Hiding Hilda. I don't know. I saw it just recently, but I saw a girl and it's like it goes around your waist and then there's like a part that goes around your leg, but it's kind of like a
the Enigma?
No. And it's kind of like a it's kind of like a crossbody or like kind of like a I can't talk today. A fanny pack kind of thing, but it's on your hip and it's just like it's not a purse and it's not a leg holster. It's not a leg holster, but it's kind of like on your hip, on your side. I mean, if girls want to check it out. But
well, getting back to the gun store and her selection of a Glock 17, she was like, "Ooh, it's peanut butter brown."
First of all,
I was like,
okay, so I had my Springfield Armory XD.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like holding that in my hand, it was like very big,
it's a cannon.
Yeah, it was a lot. So I started looking for something a little on the slimmer side. And I held the Glock 19, the Glock 17.
Mm-hmm.
I did hold the 43.
The P320.
No, I held the Glock 43, I think.
Yeah, that too. And the SIG. The SIG.
I did the SIG.
She should have got the 320.
I held his Zev when he had his Zev.
Yo, don't.
I tried so many just because I was like, I just want to feel all the different types just to see as far as price point and things like that. I wasn't very educated on, so I wasn't very educated.
What's up, She Fires?
She Fires is in the house.
Hey. But I tried to hold so many different things.
So why did
we don't talk about the Z days?
No, we don't talk about the Z days.
And now what do you carry?
It doesn't. I'm a proud owner of a Shadow System DR920, which is like the same size as a Glock 17, but like, and that's the problem, right? When your husband has this type of a gun, and you're like, well, whatever, I'm going to the range with them. Were you really thinking about concealed carry options?
I wasn't, and I wasn't. When I was picking my firearm, I did not think of which I should have. You should have.
I was. That's what. Look, for anybody. I didn't. Hold on. For anybody out there, okay. Look,
I definitely had concealed carry options out there.
Okay, I had them out there. She just didn't want them.
Yeah. I wasn't thinking concealed carry because I think mentally in my mind as a newbie, I was like, oh, women carry in the purse. They don't carry
on their body
until what holster do I have for on body carry right now?
So you have a tier 1 concealment access elite or slim or something like that?
I only ask him because he's the one that bought it for me.
Glasses, purple, yellow, diamond.
So yeah, I didn't think of on body carry. If I had to go back and do it again, I would probably pick something a little different. I mean, I love the Glock 17, but
everybody loves the Glock 17.
But for on body carry for a female who's only 5'1", no.
Glock 17 is good for like doomsday scenarios, right? And we're not living in that,
So, yeah. I mean, everybody that sees it, everybody that holds it is like, oh, this is so nice. This is so nice. But I mean, practicality for a 5'1" female everyday carry, not practical at all. I don't think it's practical.
So we left the gun store with a Glock 17 that was peanut butter brown.
It was.
Got holsters for it. Started taking it to the range.
Mm-hmm.
And what would you say, like, for anybody that's out there, like women that are out there maybe seeing this for the first time, they're not really shooters or anything like that, like what would you say is like probably like the biggest takeaway? One we already kind of tackled. It needs to be a little bit smaller and more manageable for concealed carry, more practical.
I think for concealed carry, you have to pick something that's a little more practical. I see it all the time. Women are like, oh, this is what feels good in my hand when I go to the range, or this is what feels good in my hand immediately. And then they don't really think of like, well, I got to conceal carry this every single day on body. And for women like me that are small, have shorter torsos, not a lot of area to work with, it's like, okay, well, now I have a gun that comes like all the way up to my chest, and how am I supposed to like?
It's like the Joker scene.
How am I supposed to defeat the guard? How am I supposed to defeat the guard when my freaking? I have to like I might as well just like take my shirt completely off.
No, they do have that flashbang like bra holster thing that's right there, built like that to distract the dude. Like, intruder, stop.
That would be so bad. That would be so bad.
Be like, oh no. All right, cool. So get a more practical. All right.
A practical EDC for women. That's probably a video you can do for another time, kind of, because I mean,
sounds like a video you can do. Yeah.
Me personally, I only have one. I've only had two handguns of my own, so I can only speak upon those two. I have shot other things, but I've never like carried them. Those are the only two that I've carried that I can say.
I think like G23 said, sounds like it's time for a new practical firearm for Mrs. Anvil. She deserves it.
What did he say? I didn't see it.
Yeah, it's okay.
Oh.
She said hi.
Hello.
Specifically. All right, cool.
I said hi to her when she first came in.
Okay, sweet. So, all right. So look, I'm gonna stop looking at your list. This is her list. She's got like a little list here that she wants to talk about stuff.
Yeah.
So we got 25 minutes. I'm really just gonna kind of sit here and interject like randomly, but like, go ahead.
I just wrote down what I feel are benefits for women that are like getting into gun training for the first time, or like they're newbies to this world. The first benefit would be just basic firearms knowledge, like just your basic knowledge. I guess you could say what people go through when they do like a CCW or
okay, let's talk about that real quick. Let's address that.
Scenario.
That's actually, most people that follow us know that's how we got started, because the concealed handgun licensing requirements, what you get taught, it teaches you nothing on how to be successful coming out of that course to be able to actually safely conceal carry.
I mean, it's your basics. That's why I said your basic knowledge, like your very borderline basic knowledge.
So where should you seek that knowledge from?
What do you mean? What, the basics?
Yeah, basic
from
knowledge.
You.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
From Team Anvil. No, seriously, though, like unbiased, even though most people be like, you're biased, but unbiased, you guys have a lot of people with a lot of knowledge on your team, between being prior military or prior policemen or current day policemen or any competitive shooting, any of that. Like, you guys have a lot of people that are very knowledgeable that is on your team. So yeah, if anybody is wanting to get there, it's not CCW in Ohio.
Concealed handgun license.
Yeah.
Or just whatever firearms training. Like, because now we have constitutional carry, right? You don't need. From Team Anvil, of course. No, like, but you might not live here in Ohio or be coming here. But like I always say, seek out good, reputable trainers.
Yes.
Although I was a war fighter in the past life, that doesn't really matter if I'm not out here training now, right? Because I'm not going to be.
Ooh, a revolver. You have to do 5 rounds in a revolver in Connecticut.
Oof.
Ooh.
Face blue smiling.
I mean,
she fires. You got.
I would never.
She's doing
I don't think
emojis.
I don't think I would ever carry a revolver ever. Like, that's just, I don't think that's.
Hammerless revolvers are cool though.
I just don't think that's practical.
I
mean, they're cool. I guess that's like a fun one just to have.
5 rounds, that's it? That's not enough. That is not enough.
I mean, if something serious went down, no.
So that's why we do the beyond the CHL. So in Ohio's concealed handgun license, we do a beyond CHL. So it's like, hey, when you come and you get your CHL class, we're going to spend more time with you on the range that day. So that, like, if you had to pull your gun from concealment and fire, you could do it with confidence. Yeah. So anyways, I yield back to Mrs. Anvil.
I think like, I think women, regardless if you live in a state, and this is just my opinion, if you live in a state that requires license and permits or not, I just think as far as more so for like laws and like to know what your state requires, I feel like that's just something to go through just so that you know, like, you're like, I know the laws for my state. I know what I can and can't do. Also, if you have a permit and you go over to a state that you have to have one or a license.
Get some reciprocity there.
Yeah, you can look to see if you can carry over into another state. So that's just my own personal. Another benefit is learning proper or safe gun handling.
What's safe?
Because most people, I mean,
not really.
I feel like people that are new to shooting, it's especially females, it's like they don't know what it means if you're like, oh my gosh, you're flagging. They're just like, what are you talking about? As you're staring down a barrel in your face and you're just like, oh my gosh, like, you can't do that. So it's like just your basic gun how to safely handle a gun, like
point it in a safe direction. Don't put your finger on the trigger.
There is no real safe direction, but that's
the ground. The ground is safe. The ground is a safe direction. Yeah. Everybody walk around me.
Also, another one that you guys touch on a lot is for women anyways, I feel, well, this is anybody, but I think a good benefit for women is situational awareness. Knowing simple things like, I think it's very common for it to be put out to men, like, because you're the protectors of your family, and when you're out with your family or your kids or your wife, you're gonna sit and you're gonna know where all the exits are, and you're gonna be more situational awareness. But I mean, us women, we go to the malls by ourselves, we go to the stores by ourselves, we go out with our children. Being situationally aware is pretty important. So that if you're in any kind of situation, you are aware of what to do in that scenario, which comes with more training. You know, that comes back around to after you get your permit or your basic knowledge, continue to go to the range, continue to learn and seek out more training. That way you get better.
How many times a month would you say, like, you would need to go to the range?
Good, she fires. That, yeah, situational awareness is so important. I agree. I totally agree with you. That's very important.
Yeah, situational awareness matters because, like you said, we're not always around each other, right?
Yeah.
And you got to have your head on a swivel. Today, probably more than like years ago, because now we have cell phones and people are distracted by all sorts of other things. So it becomes even more important. Human trafficking is on the rise. It's not getting any less.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, women and kids are still looked at as easy targets, which is why they're mostly the ones that get abducted. So you gotta have brain skills. You have to have mouth skills. You have to know how to de-escalate with your mouth and get yourself out of stuff. And then you got to have hand skills and gun skills, right? So it's kind of like a full picture.
Oh my gosh, Vanessa. Yeah. Knowing what's going on around you, that's horrible. I mean,
and here's something else too, right? Wild. Like let's not lose. This is not to get anybody all spun up, but we're a little less than 2 years away from the next election. And if this last election cycle didn't tell us anything, people were getting assaulted left and right just for being in certain areas.
Yeah.
Like being known for leaning one way versus the other. There's a lot of political violence and backlash. And
then they had
craziness.
People that were, their cars were, with
blocked,
the whole with the whole like human trafficking and like people targeting certain people. It's like they had the air tag thing. They had where people were tying ribbons on like doors of women, knowing when they were going to work, when they were coming home. That's why he has always said to me, when you're coming home from work, take a different way. Don't always go the same route all the time, because somebody that might be watching you is aware that that's the way you go every time you go home. So, switching up your basic everyday routines is even like something.
Everybody's going to be billed for this live because now we're just giving away stuff. No.
My next point, situational awareness. That's a big one. That's a very, very big one. And this kind of comes on later. I feel like when you become like more experienced as a shooter and more experience in the gun world as a female, male, anybody. But for another benefit for women is types of firearms and ammunition. I say later that comes because it's like you kind of need to know the basics and the mechanics and all the proper handling and things like that and safety before you're like, oh, now I'm going to like go buy this gun and go buy that. And I want to try this and I want to try that. Like that comes later. That can be a problem because then all your money is like tied up into all these things that you want. But that's a basic one, but I feel like that's kind of later on when it comes to like the type of firearm, the ammunition, you're like knowing the different types of firearms. And I'm still learning the different types of firearms, or maybe knowing like what might be good for you personally.
Like we don't know what we don't know, right? So it's like, especially for people that might watch this and you're out there
because I feel
kind of
like,
on your own. Like if you don't necessarily know anybody and all you know is that you have a gun range you can go to where they sell guns,
Mhm.
it doesn't hurt to like ask somebody to help you figure out like what firearm is best for you and then measure that against like
Mhm.
other people you may know that carry.
Like I feel like most women, like new women that are new to shooting, it's like they go for looks or they go for, oh, what my grandparents had. So it's like the revolver. I see so many women come like to shoot for the first time, and then when they go to like, oh, what should I get for EDC or what should I get for my everyday? It's like they go for like the pink gun that's cute or the
Tiffany blue.
the little revolver, and it's just like, okay, well, let's talk about practicality here. Yes, the little pink revolver is cute, not practical, but cute.
Well, actually, some revolvers are good. The hammerless ones, like I've been told, like are really good for self-defense because it won't jam, and all you gotta do is keep pressing
I just
the
can't see
trigger. And
I can't see myself with a revolver. That's just me.
Having other EDC
But
gear too. Knives, yeah, girl, yeah.
Yes. So she fires, yes. We were just talking about that the other day after we went through a knife course with Caleb and Katie.
The Ohio War Troll.
I mean, it was very eye-opening.
Yeah.
The damage that you can do with something as simple as like a knife or something else on body.
I almost threw up. I was dry heaving.
Excuse me. Keep having to clear my throat.
All right, get focused.
Another point I think that could be a benefit comes down to the more tedious things. I feel like once women have gotten in the door of, okay, I've come to the range a couple times, I'm comfortable with the people that I'm around shooting, and even maybe if a new one here or there pops in, I'm cool with that now. I've figured out what firearm is comfortable for me. Maybe there's a couple I like to play with every now and then at the range. I know my ammunitions. I know my different types of firearms. Now my training goes more towards perfecting the things that I've learned. So I'm perfecting proper breathing techniques. I'm perfecting my trigger control. I'm perfecting my, aligning my sights, becoming more rapid and more fast paced at what I'm doing. And it's just train. Which that's kind of where I am. I'm like, even though I still consider myself newbie. I feel like I'm in that range where it's like repetitive. It's like, I got to keep doing this to get better. Benefit of once you've been through some basic training is you can come home and do your dry firing, and you can do things at home that, one, you don't have to go to the range and waste ammo. We all like that, right? When it's so expensive.
We're learning lessons with ammo.
But to be real, being at home dry fire, like these are things that I can sit here and say I'm probably not the. He'll say it. He'll be like, she's not the best. Don't let her fool you. She ain't the best. I'm not. I don't do it to the extent that I need to, which I think is a downfall of some women. I won't say all, because I know there's women out there that they do this stuff and it's like they're on it. I don't do it to the extent that I need to, but I'm gonna get better. 2023, be better. But I'm getting better. But dry firing, doing more at home, and just honing in on those skills that you've already been learning or that you've already trained. My number one, which is a very basic thing, is just increase confidence within yourself. Like confidence that you know how to work your firearm, confidence in your shooting, confidence in showing up to the range and being like, you know what? We're going to sit here and have a whole conversation about what we're going to do prior to going to the range and what we're going to drill down on. And just like building that confidence so that if he's not around and I want to grab my Glock 17 and go to the range, it's like I can do that and be confident and not be like, well, I need him there and I don't feel confident to go by myself. Like that increased confidence within yourself to do those things on your own, or even to do them with other women, which is my next point, is building relationships. That's probably like the next benefit, I think, for women. I feel like the more women that you can get around you that are confident and comfortable in shooting and you're training together, it makes for a female community that you can go to the range without guys and go as women
and still get great value.
Yeah, and still get good training in, because it's like you all continually train, you all continually learn.
No, that's good. Like, because it is like I think there's a lot more women. I see a lot more women out there shooting now than maybe like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's awesome.
Right.
But just like with the male side of it, like for every really awesome group of instructors that there are, there's like 100 that are like, they need to be canceled immediately, and their instructor cards need to be revoked and everything, because you can do that, right? Like you may have the right intentions, like, hey, I want to help people, get them certified so they can carry, but I'm going to teach them garbage techniques that are going to get them and others hurt and killed.
Yeah.
And then,
I mean, unfortunately, that is out there.
So you definitely want to be super selective with the instructors that you go after, but I'm pretty sure women outnumber men still. And it would be really cool if women had like a safe place where you could go and you could actually still drill down on those skills and tasks and get better and like see value out of that.
Yeah.
Like, so anybody out there have something like that in your area where you're at? I know there's the well-armed woman.
Ohio has a couple different women training groups, or
in Georgia, there is my sister's Keeper's Defense. She's like an ex-Army. I saw her on a Vice channel thing about guns. And anyways, whatever. If you're in the Georgia area, I don't even know where she's at in Georgia.
No, I mean, I feel like it's more common for there to be men groups or men clubs, I don't know what you want to call them, where they get together. So it's kind of cool to see that there are more shoot like a girl. Yeah. There's more women events, which is something that you've talked about, is, women, like, I know they always have like range days where anybody can come to range days, but like have a specific lady range day. So
so we're kind of working on that. Thanks for alluding to that. So
it was a snippet, but wasn't going to give too much away.
We're kind of like in beginning talks. So I already talked to She Fire roughly about it, and Marcy. Yeah, Marcy May from North Carolina.
More you, not me, but you've been having those kind of conversations. If you notice me, his wife, start liking and following more people in that. There is a portion where he's like, it'd be good if you were involved. I'm a hairdresser. I do hair. That's where
nothing important. We're still live.
I don't like super in the I guess you could say the uh-oh. We're not, we don't have
We got froze.
oh, no. Yeah, we're frozen. Shoes.
What French toast is happening? We're being censored. This is what leadership looks like in real time. We're being
Oh,
censored.
wait, we're back.
Are we?
Yeah, back now. Okay,
How do
so
you know
we
we're
froze
back?
for a second because it's
Daggone.
counting down.
Somebody was censoring us.
Anyways, what I was saying is I'm a hairstylist, so I'm not as engrossed in like the gun world as he is. So I'm just now starting to like kind of get into it and kind of like get more of an understanding, get to know more people in this industry. So yeah.
Especially the women.
So if he does, or if Anvil does decide to put together like a ladies range day or something like that, I would love to be a part of that.
Oh, you will be a part of it as Mrs. Anvil.
So,
you would have to be.
So yeah, that was my last like benefit for women is, you know, making friends and kind of like creating the women
empowerment, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Women empowerment, or just women community in the gun world. Yeah.
It's not that scary. If you can
I
do
mean,
it.
I don't think it's scary now. I mean, I know there's women out there that probably have been like, oh, I've touched a gun like never in my life or maybe once, and I'm not comfortable. So, I mean, I was there once. I've been there. Cape Gun. Oh, where's that? G23. Where's Cape Gun Works? Or where do they do that at?
Cape Gun Works.
Oh, diversity shoots. That's kind of cool. Oh, DC Project. Okay.
Hey, good information.
I had to look that up.
Yeah, got some stuff
Thank
to
you
look
for
up
sharing
for sure.
that. Other than that, other tips.
Just get out there and do it, right?
Yeah, just get out there and train. Also, for women, I feel, regardless if you're new or not, is just ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that everybody's so, women anyways, we're so afraid to ask. It's like, I'm just going to like sit in the background and not say nothing. Like, ask. Like, if you're not like me, when I shoot, I a lot of times have an issue with pulling to the left. Yes. Low and to the left. And I'm always like, why? Like every time we go shooting, I'm like, why? Why do I keep doing this? What the frick? And I get irritated. But I always ask him or one of the other Anvil guys, I'm just like, hey, can you come like over here and watch me and kind of like help me figure this out? You know, if I can't fix it on my own. So asking questions if you don't know something, or asking for guidance if you're not sure about something. Yeah, ask questions, because there's never a bad question or a dumb question. Maybe for the most part. Other than that, continue to train, obviously.
Train
Team
hard.
Anvil, they're good for that here in Ohio, in Central Ohio. Yeah, continue your training.
Train hard.
Build relationships, ladies, with other ladies that are out in the shooting world, so that you get more comfortable and build your confidence, and you can protect yourselves, protect your family. Most of us, our husbands are around most of the time, you know, unless you're like military spouse, or you might have a firefighter or a cop or something like that for a spouse where they're not around as much. But Yeah.
I mean, nobody wants to ever talk about the what if, like, and this is what I used to say, as skilled as I may be, I'm not bulletproof. So if I go down, you're next up, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah. And that's probably one of the biggest points that he brought up to me when I kind of was in the phase where I was like, oh, I don't want to go shoot. I'm not like I don't feel comfortable. Or he was just like, well, let's just talk home defense. Like, what would you do if somebody came and stormed through our door in the middle of the night, and let's just say they got me? He's like, probably never will happen, but let's just say they got me. He's like, what are you gonna do? He's like, what are you gonna do? You know?
Gotta have a plan.
And you wanna have a plan, and you wanna be able to be like, hey, you know what? I got this. I have the confidence in myself that I can at least defend the best that I can until either first responders come, or luckily, hopefully, best case scenario is either he's already partially wound that person, or I can finish the job that he already started.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, being able to protect yourself and your family, if your spouse isn't around, or if your spouse were to go down, I mean, that's real life. I mean, if you're out in public, even, and something were to happen and you were to
2 aisles away,
let's just say you catch a stray bullet, and now it's left up to me to, like, you know, keep our kids safe. It's like, I gotta do what I gotta do.
Yeah, you do.
You know? So
ferocious.
Other than that, yeah, I think that's it. I mean, you have the deeper stuff, like what holster to buy as a woman, what gun purse to buy, what gun to select, like all that kind of stuff. But that's another conversation another time, because this is just more about why women should
get out
go
there and
seek
shoot
gun training.
This has been good.
So, and I mean, you want to just like go over the list one more time very quickly, just run through it just as a final cap.
Go ahead.
So first and foremost, get your basic knowledge, whether it be CCW, CHL.
Plug into a group that knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
And seek knowledge.
Learn proper gun safety, gun handling, learn situational awareness, train. And I think that's the key word, train situational awareness. You can't just have conversations about it, like literally train situational awareness. Later on, learn your types of firearms and your types of ammunition. And then after that, you have keep training, keep training, keep learning, get better. And then, increase your confidence and build your community so that you can continue to train and find other females out there that you feel comfortable getting together and becoming better at what you do in the training world with your firearm, to protect yourself, protect your family.
Yeah, because it is a community thing, like at the end of our videos, we say, stay safe, stay free, train hard, and you got to do all three of those things in anything that you do, regardless if it's firearms or relationships or your faith with God or friendships, like you got to be able to do all those things. So yeah, this was really good. I'm glad we had her on, right? Like, this is awesome. Any encouraging words of advice for anybody that may ever watch this in the history of the interwebs?
Honestly, just train. Ladies, don't be scared. Just get out there, get past that intimidation factor, and know that people are there to help. People are there to help you get better and to help train you, like Team Anvil.
Well, that's going to do it for us here at Team Anvil for the Hammered Out podcast tonight. I want to thank Mrs. Anvil for being such a great guest and giving us so much to think about as we roll forward. And we say it a lot and we mean it over here. Stay safe, train
Yes.
hard, and stay free. See you on the next one.